Good to have you join us. This is the news on the hour brought to you from the Anglican Cable Network Nigeria. I am Charles Philip Wakolam. You are welcome. Revolution in politics is a very serious matter which should not be taken lightly or overlooked. Many nations which has gone through it never survived it. Hence, the need for those in the position of power to listen to suggestions and complaints of those they lead. This was the assertion of the primate of all Nigeria, Anglican Communion, His Grace the Most Reverend Nicholas Oko, during an interview with ACNN News correspondent Nwanne Ogechukwu in Abuja. According to the primate, those who criticize the government or point out the weaknesses, mistakes, or errors of the government should not be seen as people who are not patriotic.
My appeal to people, revolution, if you are talking of revolution in the sense of a political revolution, is a very dangerous thing. Not many countries survive revolution. So if we can, those governing us should listen to appeal to suggestions and make corrections. Nobody is an angel. And so if weaknesses are pointed out, it's not a criticism of the government. And the people in power should not assume that the people outside power are not patriotic. After all, the country belongs to all of us, and we are all part and parcel of Nigeria. Our children and our people yet unborn belong to this same country. So it is not a group of people who are now in power who own Nigeria. It's not true. So when they are making programs and the people are commenting, they should see beyond the immediate and see patriotism in other people, not only those in power.
It would be recalled that Mr. Omoyele Sowore, the African Congress presidential candidate in the 2019 elections, was arrested by the DSS over the weekend after he called for a nationwide protest against what he described as a bad governance. The protest he tagged Revolution Now. Meanwhile, Primate Oko has reiterated that gospel preached through the media is the way forward for the church today, stressing that many souls can be reached through this medium. Primate Oko made this statement during his address at the two-day ACNNTV Management Board Strategy Retreat held at St. Matthew's Anglican Church, Maitama, Abuja. The retreat was aimed at tackling the challenges presently facing the television station and mapping out strategy for its future as well.
For a TV station, for a church, such as the Church of Nigeria, cannot be overemphasized. This is also what led me, when I was bishop at Asaba, to start a TV program every week, preaching on the TV. Because if you preach in the church, you are limited to the number of people who are present. And even those number of people who are present, half may not remember what you have said. But if you pass it on to a television audience, the large number of people who will hear and appropriate it are very, very many. And they will keep what they've seen because it goes into their system. So, this television house is the way to go, is the way forward for bigger and smaller church denominations. And we cannot contend its existence. It's very, very important. We can only speak to people who are not yet convinced, particularly in the area of funding, that this is a project that we all have to key into to make it succeed.
Speaking on why and how the station took off, the teaching problems, current status, challenges and vision for the future of the station. The primate calls on well-meaning Anglicans and Christians to key into the vision and help raise the station. He also commended Channels Television for the assistance they are giving to the station as he requested for more assistance.
Our future, as we envision it, is that ACNN should compete favorably with private Christian television stations. It should not be an underdog. It should be a television station that, if they are thinking of private stations, it should be among the first to be consulted. But as a church, we will be content with what the people of God can provide to push the station forward so that it can serve very well. We are grateful to Channels Television because we know that they are doing something already to assist us. But I believe that Channels can do more.
The Bishop of the Diocese of Lokoja, the Most Reverend Emmanuel Ebunu, and the board chairman, Safolu Olamiti, spoke further on the vision and mission of the station and its challenges as well.
The survival of ACNNTV, almost against all odds, since 2013, till it has become a household name, can only be the triumph of tenacity and doggedness of vision, favored with God's blessings.
It is also important to reveal that we are conscious of the church's remarkable expansion through the vision of our primates in the last 3 decades. ACNN, being a vision of our current primate, is nonetheless the national asset of the Church of Nigeria. We are seriously working at having strong presence on DSTV and Star Times. Our delay in achieving this goal is attributed to political interference.
The 2-day retreat also featured presentations from different people, such as General Manager of the ACNNTV and others who also spoke on the way forward for the television and how it can reach the desired goal and objectives. The Lord Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Kubwa, the Right Reverend Duke Akamisoko, has urged the federal government to replace the present serving security chiefs, stressing that the service chiefs have not displayed competence in bringing crimes to its minimum. According to him, Nigerians are worried over the increased rate of crimes in the country, which has led to kidnapping, killings, banditry, armed robbery, and other crimes under the leadership of the service chiefs. Speaking with ACNN News correspondent Nwanne Ogechukwu in Abuja, Bishop Akamisoko called on the federal government to replace the security service chiefs with younger people who can deliver the desired results which the country has been clamoring for.
Many of us are worried. The people who are heading the security forces, from every indications, some of them have been there for 5 years, 4 years, 6 years, and some of us believe that you need to change that. You need to bring new ideas. You need to bring more new hands to see whether there will be improvement. Because the current people in the leadership have not given us the desired result.
The cleric further called for serious prayers to be continually made for the church and the nation. He also urged those in positions of power to make the country conducive for every Nigerian.
Well, while we continue to pray for our government, we continue to pray for the church, but we want concrete and positive action to be taken by those in leadership position to make Nigeria comfortable for us to live.
Mission has been defined as the primary task of the Christian church, and from its inception has been called to be the proclaimer of the gospel of Jesus Christ to the ends of the earth. The parallel between God sending Jesus and Jesus sending his disciples describes both the method and the content of the mission. This is contained in the bishop's charge of the Synod of the Diocese of Ohaji Egbema with the theme Mission as Never Before. The Anglican Bishop, the Right Reverend Chidi Collins Okparo Jako, in his charge admonished the church to be fully involved in mission, stating that a church exists by mission as a fire exists by burning. He highlighted 5 perspectives the church mission can be summed up in, which is being involved in stewarding the material resources of creation, serving human beings without distinction and whatever they need, bearing witness to the truth as it is in Jesus, being able to engage in seeing God's justice done in society, environment, and surroundings, and bearing the responsibility of showing what it means in practice to be a reconciled and liberated community in the midst of a corrupt, distressed, and despairing world. The bishop requested that mission as never before becomes their slogan, urging everyone never to wait to be reminded to do what is obvious and expected. Youths have been reminded that amidst their challenges and struggles in life, everything is made possible when there is God factor. As a result, they should hold on to God for the miraculous to happen. This was a charge given by the Primate of all Nigeria and the Bishop of Abuja Diocese, His Grace, the Most Reverend Nicholas Oko, through the Church of Nigeria General Secretary, the Venerable Acnn Paul Daju, during the 2019 Annual General Conference of the Anglican Youth Fellowship, Abuja Diocesan Council. The conference held at the All Saints Primary and Secondary School compound, Wuse Zone 3, Abuja.
If God that we worship is the God of all possibilities, it is abnormal that we, His children, should encounter impossibility.
The youths hold the future of the church and the nation at large, in order to ensure the brighter future for the Anglican Church and, of course, Nigeria. The Anglican Youth Fellowship of Abuja Diocese, under the leadership of the quintessential president, Ihanye Ima Opara, converged at the All Saints Schools and the St. Matthias Anglican Church, Wuse Zone 3, Abuja, for the 2019 conference with the theme, God of All Possibilities. The conference focused on raising godly leaders, spiritually minded Christian youths, business-oriented, amongst others. On the first day, the conference started with a Holy Communion service celebrated by the Wuse Archdeaconry AYF chaplain, Reverend Canon Smart Simon.
Already some of us are youth and are already serving in the Church of God. So a lot is being done already. But a lot still needs to be done. In terms of discipleship, in terms of mentoring, the church can still do more. But on the part of the youth also, they need to make themselves available for them to be mentored. They also need to be patient to be mentored. The greatest problem of the youth is that they are in a hurry to make it in life.
With men, it is impossible. But with God, all things are possible.
On the second day, it was the theme exposition by the General Secretary for the Anglican Church of Nigeria, Venerable Paul Daju.
The youths must first run to God, because if they try to go through men, it will be difficult. But when they see God and they walk through God, it will be much easier and it will be the best way to handle their difficulties. But also, I think the youths must also find an appropriate definition of who they are. Their definition is not by their circumstances. It is not about what they have and who they have. It is about their identity in Christ Jesus. Then also, I want the youth to understand that in a generation like this, where there is so much frustration, it is expected of the youth to develop themselves by finding for themselves godly mentors and godly disciples who will raise them, who will disciple them, who will teach them the precepts of life.
The exposition gave way for the address by the diocesan president, where he addressed issues in the church and the nation as regards to the youths. The following day, the youths went through tests of their Bible knowledge as well as the Anglican Church.
Like when you talk about the quiz contest, and people oftentimes they don't know what they are, whom they are, until they do it. Most of them are doing well, and I believe that through the spiritual impartation, they can go out there and change the world.
The camp meeting ended with a Thanksgiving service in appreciation to God for a successful program. They didn't fail to also show gratitude to individuals as they handed awards of excellence to patrons and supporters of the fellowship, and also to the best performers in the quiz competition, amongst others. Some of the officials took us through the journey of the conference.
It is not easy to be committed to youth development, which we have seen in the life of our bishop and our primate, and it's something we really need to show our appreciation and then call on the clergy entirely to emulate his passion. Then in terms of politics, we realize that some youths have taken the bold steps in contesting. We have a lot of parishioners who we can refer to as senior citizens when it comes to politics. And this period, we are seeing it as a new era, a new dispensation. Some of these youths who have shown interest, can be picked to be mentored. They can be made special and personal assistants to some of these our politicians.
I enjoyed the prophetic night. It was really a moment of God's presence and glory. Miracles happened, people were healed, and you could see people hungry for God the more. So it's something that I think I'm going to adopt some of their styles of doing things in my diocese.
The conference was to lead youths to Christ in a time where there are several social ills flying here and there. We recorded a number of persons who gave their lives to Christ. Some rededicated their lives, and some renounced some habits, that social and habitual issues they have been battling with.
This year, we had the privilege of the General Secretary of Nigeria being our guest speaker. I think compared to other conferences we've had so far, we had more delegates this year.
With respect to the spiritual aspect of this program, I think it was improved upon, especially with the Bible study. A lot was emphasized concerning faith in God and trusting God at all times, being patient, waiting for God's perfect time. And then there were other sessions like the prophetic sessions. There was the prayer uproar where youths were allowed the freedom to pray, and enough time was given to prayer in the conference, which was an improvement.
Some of the resolutions and focus of the youths moving forward was declared by the president.
So we are not the only youth group in the diocese, so we're also committed to ensuring there is peaceful coexistence among the youth groups in the church. We all know that the youths will have energy, so we want to commit to dissipating that energy in reaching out to the rural communities in the FCT. What we ask of the stakeholders is that when it comes to material things and financial support, we will require such to be able to carry out such activities. And then we are also committed to growing our business ventures. As a youth group, we have started up some business ventures in the diocese. So we want to nurture them and ensure they grow to see how we can reduce the burden of funding on the diocesan.
Thanks for staying tuned. For more on our top stories, please visit our website at acnntv.com or youtube.com/ACNNTV. To be up to date with our news and other programs, download the ACNN app from Android from Google Play Store.
Ajayi Crowther University admission has commenced. Programs on offer include undergraduate, postgraduate, part-time, HND conversion, foundation and pre-degree in faculties of law, humanities, education, natural sciences, social sciences and management sciences. Our tuition is affordable and payable in 3 installments. Visit the university website at www.acu.edu.ng for online application, screening and admission letter. Given our state-of-the-art facilities, well-equipped library, decent learning environment and distinguished lecturers. Apply now by logging on to www.acu.edu.ng. For details, call 0814-592-0637. Ajayi Crowther University, raising godly intellectuals.
Moving on to some national news, the Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered both the Senate and the House of Representatives to halt their plan to take over the legislative duties of the Edo State House of Assembly. Justice Taiwo made the order at the resumed hearing in the case instituted by the Edo State government to challenge the directive by the chambers of the National Assembly to the governor of the state, Godwin Obaseki, to issue a fresh proclamation of the state's House of Assembly. The National Assembly had threatened to take over the legislative duties and powers of the Edo House of Assembly should the governor fail to make the fresh proclamation within 3 weeks. But Justice Taiwo ordered parties in the case to maintain status quo pending the determination of the case. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has warned Nigerians against the use of pesticides and other agrochemicals in home for domestic purposes. The Director General of the agency, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, gave the warning at a one-day sensitization workshop organized by the Agency for Agro Dealers in Kano. Adeyeye, represented by the head Veterinary and Agro-Allied Department, Malam Bukar Usman, said the sensitization was imperative due to the increased number of cases of abuse of such products. She said that it was essential to sensitize the agro-dealers on the health hazards posed by some of the chemicals being sold to the public for domestic use. She added that the agency had recently received complaints from concerned citizens on misuse, abuse, presence of counterfeit, substandard and fake pesticide in the country, which had affected the well-being of the citizens and crops. Adeyeye, however, stressed that the sensitization was meant to be a proactive measure to avoid Nigeria becoming a dumping ground for substandard and fake agro-allied chemicals. And now to international scene. President Donald Trump has visited the sites of mass shootings in Ohio and Texas amid warnings he will not be welcome. He spoke out on racism and hatred following the mass shootings in Ohio and Texas, saying the attacks in the Dayton and El Paso left 31 people dead. Earlier, Trump has been accused of stoking the same sentiments he sought to condemn. The Democratic Congresswoman who represents El Paso says she would not meet him, urging him to understand that his words have consequences. The El Paso shooting is being treated as a possible hate crime. Much of the city identified as Hispanic or Latino, and the suspect is thought to be the author of a text posted online which said, "This attack is a response to the Hispanic invasion of Texas." On some football transfer news, former Arsenal striker Ian Wright has lashed out at Laurent Koscielny over the disrespect he has shown the club following his move to Bordeaux. Koscielny completed his £4.6 million move to Bordeaux on Tuesday, and his new club unveiled their new signing with a short promotional video. However, it has not gone down well with Arsenal fans, as it shows Koscielny wearing a Gunners shirt before taking it off to reveal his new Bordeaux kit underneath. Relations between Koscielny and Arsenal quickly soured after he refused to go on the preseason tour of America in a bid to force a move from North London. A tense standoff ensued with Laurent Koscielny wanting the club to let him leave for free despite having a year left on his contract. And with that transfer story, we wrap up this edition of News on the Hour. Thanks for watching. I am Charles Philip Wakola.